Welcome everyone to Zero Dark, the best Call of Duty show on the planet. And that being said, everyone, I'm your host, Zero, and today we're going to be talking about everything in the world of Call of Duty, the upcoming, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty esports, and more. Really excited to get into this episode of the show, episode 1 of Zero Dark. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, what can you expect from Zero Dark? Guys, this being a Call of Duty show, I am so excited to be bringing this to all of you. And as the show evolves over time, I am excited to announce we're going to be bringing more and more guests onto the show. And Zero Dark, guys, is going to be a Call of Duty show based around everything in the Call of Duty universe, Call of Duty League, news, content, things of that nature. I wanted to create some place where it is everything Call of Duty, and I'm really excited about it, guys. This has been something that I've been wanting to and have been working on for a long time. And without further ado, guys, let's get into the show. So Call of Duty Ghosts 2, this is a title that I have wanted to see for a very long time. And not so much because I felt like it was the greatest Call of Duty ever made. I think that there's plenty of other Call of Duties that have come out in recent memory or even in the past, the far past, that were far superior to Call of Duty Ghosts. But Call of Duty Ghosts did a couple of really cool things. The first one was the campaign. So I know not everybody plays the Call of Duty campaigns. I absolutely love them. I always play the Call of Duty campaign before I get into the multiplayer experience because I feel like it's really important to understand the world, understand more of the lore, the story that the folks over at Activision, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch are trying to build. It also helps, of course, with learning the mechanics of the new game. Typically, it's very, very similar from year to year, but we do know that when you go from one year to the next, there are definitely some differences as well as some similarities. We know we had the boots on the ground era, then it went to jetpacks, now we're back to boots on the ground. And so there's definitely change as time goes. And Call of Duty, of course, is one of those titles where it's no different. Well, Call of Duty Ghosts, that being, of course, the campaign for this title, was, like I had mentioned, one of my favorite Call of Duty campaigns in the entire franchise. And Call of Duty Ghosts, of course, left us, for those of you, of course, who have played, but if you haven't played, it left us on what I would consider the biggest cliffhanger in the history of Call of Duty up to this point in time. Unbelievable how it ended, and obviously, ever since then, I have wanted to see the continuation of Call of Duty Ghosts in the form of Call of Duty Ghosts 2 to see kind of like, what happens next after the events of Call of Duty Ghosts. And, I think that that's, really just the tip of the iceberg in terms of, first and foremost, wanting to understand what happened here at the end of the game. And, to kind of transition from the campaign to another element of Call of Duty Ghosts that I thought was really innovative, something that I really enjoyed, was the introduction of Extinction. Extinction, guys, replaced zombies, at least for that year. And, I really enjoyed Extinction for a number of reasons, not only because it was different, but zombies, even though I know zombies is far more popular than Extinction ever was, I thought that the concept of Extinction was really cool in the, from the perspective of, instead of fighting against zombies, you're fighting against aliens. And then on top of that, Extinction, you could beat. You could actually beat it, whereas, zombies is just waves and waves of these zombies, and then you go as far as you can, and then you die, right? And I felt that zombies would be really awesome if you could essentially beat it. If there was a way to, there was an end game where you could actually beat zombies. I thought that would be really fascinating. And I thought Extinction was the tip of the spear when it came to essentially this concept where, yes, it's awesome to play against waves and waves of enemies, but can you beat it? Is there a story here? Are there like more elements, more lore that they can build upon from other modes outside of the campaign? And I felt that Extinction was a kind of a step in that direction. I would love to see an Extinction 2.0. alongside like the campaign, a continuation of the campaign from Ghost 1 to Ghost 2. Extinction 2.0, I think, would be really cool. But even expanding upon it, maybe making there have modes where you can beat Extinction, like kind of like a story mode-esque type of situation in Extinction 2.0. But you also have the traditional mode where you go up against waves and waves of aliens, similar to zombies, and you go until you die. I think that would be really, really fascinating to me. And so I felt that there was something special there. And I know it's a very unpopular opinion of mine to say that Extinction, in my mind, is better than zombies. I just enjoyed it more simply because zombies just felt very repetitive over time. Yes, they've added so much to zombies over the course of time, and it's awesome. But Extinction, I just felt was something where they were creating something different. And I think that not everyone felt that, the same way as me. Not everybody loved that. They loved like just the kind of traditional zombies. And I understand it. I really do. But I would really love to see a continuation of Extinction in the form of Extinction 2.0. Now let's get to the multiplayer. So Call of Duty Ghosts certainly was not the best multiplayer experience by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, from the maps to the weapons to, the gameplay, all of those things, it was not the best experience. I did enjoy it, but I think that Call of Duty Ghosts multiplayer and the reception of Call of Duty Ghosts multiplayer really solidified Activision's decision to move from boots on the ground to jetpacks. Now, maybe the decision was made far before Call of Duty Ghosts came out, but it was really, that was like the final nail in the coffin to the community saying that we need change after Call of Duty Ghosts. And so I feel like Ghosts was somewhat the subject to the wrath of the community where, they just wanted there to be change. We wanted to go back to, those classic CODs, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, and even Black Ops 1. That feel of the Call of Duty era was the greatest era ever in Call of Duty history. And, so a lot of people and players understandably wanted there to be, change, probably more so in that direction, but we really got change in the form of Advanced Warfare. And I always talk that, going into the jetpack era was, in my mind, the dark ages of COD. Even though I loved Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, I did not like that one whatsoever. I know a lot of people like Black Ops 3. Infinite Warfare, I felt, even though that was probably for a lot of people in the community was the worst COD ever made. I thought that Infinite Warfare was a lot better than Black Ops 3. But when you look at the trajectory of where they were going with the jetpack era, it was one of those things that they obviously realized we need to go back to boots on the ground. And so Ghost, I just felt, was kind of the subject of the community's wrath, in terms of people wanting change, and we got change, right? And so Ghost, I do believe that before the game came out, there was a timeline, or they had planned that there was going to be multiple Call of Duty Ghost titles, even though Ghost 1 was the best-selling game. And I mean, year over year, Call of Duty is the best-selling game every single year. It's, just the community is unbelievable. And we come back over and over and over again for the new COD. So where could they go with the Call of Duty Ghosts 2? Well, obviously, the campaign is number one. Number two would be Extinction 2.0. The multiplayer, even though, as I mentioned, it was not the best experience ever. I did enjoy some of the weapons. I enjoyed some of this, that was a period of time where I was sniping all the time. Some of the sniper rifles were okay, but it just wasn't, like MW2 and Black Ops 2 in my personal opinion. And so what could they do with a Ghost 2? Well, I really feel though, guys, even though it was not the best product ever, I feel that they had something that they could build off of, realizing what we did right, wrong, and what we can do different moving forward. A lot of the maps were not that memorable either, at least in my opinion, in Ghost 1. I feel that Strike Down, that was my favorite map for sure. There were a couple of maps that were decent, right? But it didn't feel like MW2 Black Ops 2 maps. It just, they had 1-2 maps that were good, and it's kind of felt like that for a number of years now, where we've had 1 or 2 maps that are, really good or at least decent, and the rest of the maps are, kind of forgettable. And now with MW3 coming out, we're going to be getting, of course, all of these maps coming to us, the classic maps from MW2, which is incredible. The rumor is with Black Ops 5 or Black Ops, Cold War 2, which I'm hoping it's Black Ops 5. The rumor is that is going to be all of the Black Ops 2 maps, which I think could very well be the best Call of Duty ever made, especially with the modern, technology, modern consoles, graphics, all of those things. Seeing those maps remastered and redone and reimagined is going to be something really special. I think that the MW2 maps reimagined are going to be incredible as well. But with Ghosts, I feel that they could do some really special things. They can do the things that, maybe they were planning on doing for Call of Duty Ghosts 2 if they ever were to get that or greenlight that project. And like I said, the major thing, though, is realizing what you did right, wrong, and what you can do different moving forward. I think there was definitely a trajectory forward for Call of Duty Ghosts 2. Now, the big question, will we ever get a Call of Duty Ghosts 2? The answer to that, guys, is most likely not. Even though I believe that if we, as the community, go to the developers, go to the publishers, and we voice our opinion, whether it's on social media, making, content on YouTube, Twitch, wherever it is, our voice matters. It definitely can move mountains. I look at games like Dead Space, where they were games, we had an original trilogy, and then after those 3 games, it went into a limbo state or a state of no return, and people thought that Dead Space was never coming back. And I was creating content, a number of people were creating content on YouTube about, a Dead Space continuation. And over time, we echoed it into existence in the form of a Dead Space remake. And it did so well that everyone, and I really should say, EA and the folks over there decided, now that, Dead Space is back, and it's back better than ever, and it's there. I believe that they are going to be going, full blown into this franchise once again. And so, could Call of Duty Ghosts suffer, or really not suffer, but have the same fate as something like a Dead Space? I believe absolutely. Now, from a business perspective, Ghosts versus like Modern Warfare and Black Ops, it's not even close. Black Ops and Modern Warfare are the 2 biggest subseries in the overarching franchise that is Call of Duty. And, from a business perspective, if they just went back and forth between Modern Warfare and Black Ops, I would be okay with that because I love those 2 franchises. They're incredible. I just would love to see a Ghost 2, though. I really would. I think that there is something to be said for a Call of Duty Ghost 2. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section down below. Let's have a real conversation about Call of Duty Ghosts 2. Is this something that could ever happen in the future? What do you guys think? Let's talk about it. And for more Call of Duty Ghosts 2 content and videos, keep it here with ZeroDark. So will Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 have a classic prestige system? And I want to talk about this, guys, because I guess you could say I'm one of the older school, players within the Call of Duty community, where I played COD 4. That was my first Call of Duty experience. And the classic prestige system was something really special. You would rank up to level 55 or level 80, and then you had the option whether you wanted to prestige, which would reset, your weapons and all of those things back down to level 1, and then you would go through the ranks. And for prestiging, you would go ahead and get like a really cool emblem, get some a new calling card, things of that nature, and some new emblems. And I loved this system because it felt like you were earning something as you went along the journey. Whereas, you're probably thinking, well, we have a prestige system. Well, the prestige system now is like a seasonal prestige system. It's very, very different, in my opinion. It just kind of, changes, from season to season. And are we going to go back to that classic, OG prestige system? And the answer to that, guys, at least in my personal opinion, because MW3 is somewhat of a reskin of MW2. They are adding things, but it's definitely going to be more or less a reskin of MW2, I would have to say that it's not going to happen. They are going to continue this seasonal prestige system where they're going to add prestiges as you go, as you level up, you're going to get like new emblems and or like a new rank and things of that nature as you go. Who knows what how far they're planning on taking it. I personally just feel that the earnable items over like the more payable items, they're trying to monetize the experience. And I understand from a business perspective, what they're trying to do here. But there was something really special about, going back to MW2 and those days, there was something to be said about getting to the 10th prestige, ranking all the way up, and then ranking up, all of your kill streaks and all of those things to a place where you would get the 10th prestige medallion. The 10th prestige medallion was like a coveted item. It was so coveted at that period of time that there were like modded lobbies. People were hacking to get up to that and have it in there, as their emblem. And then, like the 10th prestige emblem and the calling cards and things of that nature. There was something to be said about that. That era of Call of Duty was the best in my opinion, because it was like a simple system, but it was also grindy. It was hard. It was difficult. And that's why so many people were hacking and botting and things of that nature. It was just a very different time in Call of Duty history. But do I think that they should go back to this, the classic prestige system? I absolutely do. This would be something I believe needs to happen. I don't think that they should continue the seasonal prestige system. And I don't believe it's going to change here with Modern Warfare 3. When I think that it will change or could potentially change will be next year with Treyarch's Call of Duty title. Black Ops 5 is what everyone's thinking it's going to be, or like a Black Ops Cold War 2. I would much rather prefer a Call of Duty Black Ops 5. But that being said, I believe that would be the time at which they would change it from this seasonal prestige system to just a prestige system. And maybe they add ranks as they go. Maybe you start with 10 prestiges and then you get up to that point and then, they add 10 more or whatever the case may be, with new emblems, new, icons, logos, all of those different things, so that you can show that off to everyone. And there was just something about back then, looking at when you were in a lobby, you would see everyone and what their rank was and their emblems and things of that nature. And you would see, wow, someone's already at the 10th prestige. It was such a grind and such a journey to get there. And it felt like it was so well earned when you did it. And you did it legitimately, of course. But it would get everybody else in the lobby to start, really looking at your character or looking at your, man, how did he do this? How many hours does he put in? All of those different things. And you would look at different profiles. There was something very special about that time in Call of Duty. And I believe that we need to go back to that. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section down below. Do you think that we should continue with this seasonal prestige system or go back to the classic prestige system? And for those of you who weren't around to play those, the classic prestige system, you really missed out. And I would recommend going back to some of the older Call of Duties, trying those out, whether it's the jetpack games or even the older ones, and just seeing what that prestige system was like. Very, very special. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd love to have a conversation about this. Let's talk about it. So a big question that I want to put out there to all of you is, who is the greatest Call of Duty player of all time? And obviously at this point in time, guys, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, obviously. But right here, right now, who in your guys' opinion is the greatest COD player ever? And I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on this. And I would love to have a real conversation about it in the comment section down below. So let's talk about it. The best Call of Duty player, when we talk about this, typically we are going to have to talk about players that, played from a very high level, played in the Call of Duty League or the Call of Duty World League. People who have a winning formula where they were consistently winning game over game or, year over year, and were always either competitive or just winning championships. And that list, it's a short list, right? But the individual that stands at the top of that echelon is Ian Crimsix Porter. This is a guy who won the most world championships. Really, just in my mind, when I look at the stats, you look at everything, just, the winningest Call of Duty player in history, before the CDL, that being the Call of Duty League. Of course, there was the Call of Duty World League, all of those things. This guy has been winning at every level. He won in the Call of Duty World League, won in the Call of Duty League, and has, just the most rings unbelievable what this guy has accomplished over the course of his career. Now, obviously, he is retired from professional Call of Duty. He is now playing sim racing at a very high level now, but I just feel that Crimsix had this winning formula that, he felt very Jordan-esque from a Call of Duty perspective. And the reason being is because obviously Michael Jordan, a lot of people argue that he is the greatest basketball player of all time. And, this is Jordan being one of those guys who would fuel his teammates, but he had a very different way of, being a teammate, but being completely and utterly focused on the task at hand, which was winning games and winning, of course, in the biggest moments, the biggest spots, that being in the NBA Finals. He was just dominant and he brought out the best performances out of his teammates. Now, the way he did that, a lot of people argue that he was not a good teammate, that he would crush his teammates in a number of ways, that he wasn't, he just wasn't a good person, wasn't a good teammate, things of that nature. I look at Crimsix and I say, not that he's not a good person, but when it came from a competitive perspective, he was a killer when it came to this in terms of getting and bringing great performances out of his teammates. Now, when it transitioned from the Call of Duty World League to the Call of Duty League, you could say that the Call of Duty League, got soft in a number of areas because increased salaries and all these different things. And so that winning formula wasn't necessarily there for a lot of them, but the old guard, that being Crimsix, Aches, these other guys who really helped build Call of Duty to where it is now, especially the Call of Duty, esports scene. Crimsix had a way of getting performances out of his players and out of his teammates, but also leading by example and just dominating in a number of ways, whether it was with the Dallas Empire or with Complexity or with Optic. It didn't really matter what team it was he was with. He would win. Reminds me of LeBron, winning with every team that he was on, just crushing it. And even when he was near the very end of his career with the New York Subliners, they still were competitive, even when they were, to a lot of people, they weren't going to go far at all at COD Champs and at a lot of these different events, and they were competitive. They surprised so many people, and I really feel that Crimsix, it was, he has a different form of leadership. Like I said, a Jordan-esque type of leadership to every team that he was on, and that formula was winning, and that business was winning, and that was it. And so I just felt that Crimsix, will be missed for sure in the Call of Duty scene, in the Call of Duty community in a major way. Will we have players like him in the future? It's possible, definitely. I mean, I'm sure he's not the last kind of player out there that, is going to use different ways of fueling his teammates and, at times crushing his teammates and things of that nature, and holding himself accountable as well. I think we will see people like that. And it's hard to say whether, the guys over at Atlanta FaZe, if those guys are have this kind of that type of mentality as well, almost like a Mamba mentality. Or, maybe the guys over at the New York Subliners now have a little bit more of that mindset. It's hard to say, but Crimsix just did it game over game, team over team, just consistently being competitive and winning at the highest level of Call of Duty over and over again. And to me, he is without question the greatest Call of Duty player of all time. If you wanted to say the other guys who are up there, definitely Karma. Karma is an incredible player. You could say Formal. You could say Clayster. There is definitely a list of players that you could say are definitely up there with Crimsix. But I would say the Crimsix, in my mind, right here, right now, stands above everybody else, and it's not even close. But let me know, who do you guys think is the greatest Call of Duty player of all time? I'd love to have a real conversation about this. Let's talk about it, guys. Let me know what you all think. The question's coming up, and I know it's early, guys, that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 going to be the greatest Call of Duty ever made? And so in order to answer that question, for me personally, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section down below, about what your favorite Call of Duty is up to this point in time. I got to take you back. I got to take you back to when I first started playing Call of Duty with COD 4. I played the campaign. I thought that the campaign was incredible. I will never forget that experience of playing Call of Duty, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. One of, just the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had. And that really put me on this trajectory to where I am now with Call of Duty. Call of Duty changed my life in a number of ways because, instead of going out and partying with my friends and all of that, I decided, you know what? I just want to grind Call of Duty. And then I started seeing people create content around Call of Duty, and I thought, gosh, I want to make content around Call of Duty, and I want to make content in general around gaming and things of that nature. And so Call of Duty is responsible for changing my life in a number of ways. Eternally grateful for what, this franchise existing and starting when it did in my life. And so COD 4, unbelievable. Modern Warfare 2, I thought took it another level. And for me, at least, when we got to Black Ops and then Black Ops 2 was the peak of Call of Duty in my personal opinion. So Black Ops 2, guys, I thought from an overall perspective, whether you're talking campaign, co-op modes, multiplayer modes, it was the best package I believe that could have ever existed in gaming. I thought that there were so many reasons to come back to the experience over and over again. Everybody in the community, there was something for everyone. Whether you were a pub stomper, whether you were a trick shotter, whether you were wanting to play competitively to just play the campaign, no matter what it was, there was something for everyone in Black Ops 2. I believe it was, like I said, the greatest Call of Duty ever made. That being said, you got a lot of living up to do, in my mind, if you're going to say that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is going to be the greatest COD ever. Sure, will it have better graphics than Black Ops 2? Of course. Is it going to have, some, more attachments, more customization options for your character or for your guns? Sure. Is it going to have those classic Modern Warfare 2 maps? Yeah, it is. And that's what's going to be awesome about it. But to say that it's going to be the greatest Call of Duty experience ever and the greatest COD ever, I would have to say, even though I haven't played it yet, no. The answer is no. And the reason being is because I don't believe that this is the COD that's going to bring people from way back when I was playing, in COD 4, MW2, Black Ops 2. It's not going to bring everyone back yet. Could Call of Duty Black Ops 5 do that? I think that's another conversation, and that's something that if they knock that out of the park, we could have a discussion about it. Is it going to bring people back that have been playing MW2 and Warzone and things of that nature? Absolutely. It's going to bring a lot of that community, and the community is bigger than ever. So I believe it could be the biggest Call of Duty of all time. Is it going to be the greatest, though? And I just don't believe, guys, at least where MW2 is right now, it's not going to be the greatest COD ever. MW2 is awesome. When we look at the MW2 that we have now versus all the way back, the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, in my mind, was far superior to this Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And Modern Warfare 3 is going to be, I believe, maybe a better version of the MW2 that we're playing now. But I just don't believe that it's going to, I don't even know if it's going to eclipse Modern Warfare 2 on my list. But could it surpass Black Ops 2? I think it's a real stretch. I just don't think that it's going to capture that magic. But I hope I'm wrong. I want it to be the greatest Call of Duty ever. I just don't believe that it will be. I think that Black Ops 5, I think we've got a better shot. And maybe because it's a Black Ops title, I think there's a better shot at it because I believe that Black Ops as a franchise or a sub-series in the overarching franchise that is Call of Duty, I think that Black Ops, Treyarch has done a great job of creating the best multiplayer experiences in Call of Duty. Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer have created the best campaign experiences. I believe Modern Warfare 2019 is the greatest, campaign in Call of Duty history. I thought that the campaign for that game was unbelievable, just incredible. Could they knock that out of the park with MW3? I absolutely think they could. But from an overall full package perspective, I got to tell you, I just don't see it surpassing the classic MW2 or Black Ops 2 in terms of my echelon, my tier list of when we talk about the greatest Call of Duties of all time. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that this game is incredible. I do believe that it's going to be an awesome experience. I think it's going to be better than the current MW2 that we have. But is it going to be better, and is it going to capture that magic of the older Call of Duties? I just don't think we're there yet. Black Ops 5, though, I think has a real opportunity to be the greatest COD ever if they knock it out of the park. Now, I say that, and now David Vonderhaar is no longer a part of Treyarch, so it's hard to say where the future of Call of Duty is going. But with the things that are happening with Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard, I think that there's, changes coming, and I think that that change, maybe partially negative, could also be a lot of positive as well. And so the future of Call of Duty, I think, guys, there is immense amounts of opportunity for us to have some of the greatest era, once again, of Call of Duty with the of course, the updated graphics to just, from customization options and all these different things. Hopefully a return to the classic prestige mode, earnable items, overpayable items. Like, those are the things that bring you back over and over and over again. And so I'm so excited about Modern Warfare 3. I got to tell you, I get excited for every Call of Duty as it comes out. But do I realistically believe it's going to be the greatest Call of Duty ever? I do not. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this, though, in the comment section down below. Let's have a conversation about it. And like I said, guys, this is going to be something that could be really special, that being Modern Warfare 3. But is it going to be better than the classic Call of Duties? That's the question. So I want to talk about the Call of Duty League and what was the Call of Duty World League and where we could be moving in the future now that Microsoft is actively on the pursuit of purchasing Activision Blizzard. Looks like that deal is going to be going through. And I want to talk about this, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. So let's talk about it. So, guys, obviously, currently, in the year 2023, we have the Call of Duty League. A league, guys, a franchising league, essentially where you have limited teams, a massive buy-in to purchase a team, and something that is, in my mind, really special. But, a lot of times the people who are running the league are the people who have more of a traditional approach to like traditional sports and a traditional mindset in terms of how to run a league. And obviously we know, all of us who are in the gaming community and esports and things of that nature, that's not how you build this thing that's going on, that being esports. Esports and traditional sports, they are different in massive, massive ways in terms of how you're creating revenue, salaries, all of those different things are different. And the Call of Duty League, although I do love the league, I love that you have a city-based franchising system for Call of Duty, I just didn't feel that it was quite there yet. We see the ramifications of what's happening with Overwatch, some of these other, franchised leagues, and Call of Duty, even though it is the biggest game in the world, it makes sense to have a franchising league, but there was something very special about the Call of Duty World League. First of all, I loved the name Call of Duty World League, the CWL. I loved this. I thought that, you could really build off of it. I also loved the concept of having, that open pool play where you had teams that could just be formed. I could form a team with, a few other guys. We could create a team and we could, work our way up that pool, and then maybe, just maybe, we could play against Crimsix and his team, or the Dynasty team of Optic, or, FaZe Clan, or whoever it was, and we could really test our skills and things of that nature. And obviously now you've got challengers, and that's fine, but there was something to be said for the Call of Duty World League. And do I think that we could be going back to that at some point? On one hand, guys, I believe that we should. I think that there is a real need for us to go back to this style to continue building Call of Duty from the inside out. And the Call of Duty League itself is not bad, in any stretch of the imagination. I think that, from viewership and things of that nature, we've been seeing increases, but I just feel that, you get the entire community involved when it was the Call of Duty World League. And we were on such a great trajectory with the Call of Duty World League. And then when the CDL got announced, I had a feeling that it was premature. We weren't there yet. And I feel still that we're not quite there yet. I mean, sure, the production value and things of that nature of, the production that they put on looks really good, but we hear that the experience from, going to the actual each and every one of the events and things of that nature, it just doesn't feel the same as that classic Call of Duty World League where, the way they had the station set up to this main stage, esports engine, they get it. MLG, Major League Gaming and all this stuff is something that Activision owns and they just have done nothing with it. There was something to be said about going back. And I know I've been in the Call of Duty community a long time. And so I'm considered probably an old head when it comes to all these things, when I say back in the day. But back in the day, guys, there was a magic about there being, Call of Duty being played in, one convention center. And then, you go to the next stage and it's Smash or StarCraft or CSGO. There was something so special about that where, you could walk from one venue to the next and, really experience all types of different games, whether it was a fighting game, whether it was a real-time strategy, whether it was a, first-person shooter like Call of Duty. I just feel that we need to get back to that, back to where people feel that there is a path to pro, even though, they have like this system in place with challengers and stuff for the Call of Duty League. It's just not being serviced like it was with the Call of Duty World League. And that goes from the events to the way that the way everything is set up. The challengers are like completely separate from the Call of Duty League. And, I feel that they gave all of that up to increase player salaries, to, do a number of other things. And it's created other issues within the Call of Duty League and just Call of Duty in general. And I feel that we need to go back to the Call of Duty World League. Do I think that we will? I think that there is a very good chance we will because we see what's going on with the Overwatch League. We see what's going on with some of these other franchised leagues. Not all of them are doing it perfectly. Most of them are not doing it perfectly. If there's one that's doing it pretty well, I would say Valorant. Riot really has a pulse on a lot of this stuff, but at the same time, even that I feel was so premature to have a franchise league and a brand new game like Valorant. I just feel like where we are with Call of Duty, the largest game in the world still, I just feel, and when I say largest game in the world, guys, I'm talking, year over year, like it is the best selling game every single year. Sure, you got games like CSGO, Fortnite that have more viewership, whether it's on, Twitch or on YouTube, things of that nature. But there is such like a passionate fan base behind Call of Duty. I just feel that if you went back to the Call of Duty World League, and you had it where there was all these other teams that could get involved in going to events and all of that, I just think that it would blow this scene up even more, especially with, the current times, in 2023, just all the teams that go to attend the event, and then those that would be watching the event. When teams would get eliminated, they would watch the other games and things of that nature, learn from some of these pros. And so it would make the entire venue seem like it was completely sold out, like just jam-packed with people. And I just think that something like that would be huge for this scene. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about it. Will we go back to the CWL, or do you think we'll stay with the CDL? Let me know, guys. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy episode 1 of Zero Dark. If you guys did, make sure you guys subscribe if you guys are new. Just keep grinding. Stay positive. And as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.